guys. This next guide is on Charizard, and I have no idea what's going on with my character. But this is the last of the free kits, and this used to be like the most popular class in the world. But after some changes happened to it, it suddenly fell completely down. But I'm here to tell you that Charizard is most definitely still a menace and a threat, as long as you use it properly. This is very different than both Blastoise and Venusaur, as it is one of the most aggressive classes in the game. And when you compare that to two classes who like to keep their distance or keep opponents away, playing a more campy, push away style, Charizard is definitely just drastically different. It is a rush down character or an aggressive like attacker, damage, whatever you want to call it, and all of its abilities are just ways to maximize how much damage it can do. The first attack it has is Wing Attack, which is its melee, 6 damage, which is just like Venusaur, and it is a very powerful attack. And this class is not supposed to have slowness, so I'm going to have to fix that. But just remember this class is supposed to be faster than both Blastoise and Venusaur. So when you want to rush in, you can with your melee, and then the rest of its abilities kind of help with that as well. The first ability is Flamethrower, torch enemies who get too close. It does 1 damage per flame, burns opponents for 3 seconds, and has a recharge time of 5. So if you take a look at what it does, it shoots decently far, it's kind of close, but it shoots like a burst of flames, Flamethrower, and it will light enemies on fire. So let's go over to the single spawn, and you guys can see this. It does pretty good damage, and the particles do get in your way a little bit, so it's important to just kind of look past them and see where your burst is shooting. But yeah, it's a good tool. It pushes them back, burns them up a little bit, and does, I think, up to 15 damage, since there's 15 projectiles. I think that's right, and then more with the fire, so that's a very good damage tool. And then, of course, you have the next ability, which is Smokescreen. Set up a smokescreen to blind your opponents. It blinds them for 6 seconds. It takes a second to explode, and it has a recharge of 15 seconds. So when you're pushing your opponents back or you're rushing up with them, this does not affect you, so you can just pop down Smokescreen right next to them, and it will blind them for 6 seconds. This is a very good tool if you want to run away, or if you want to deal damage and stuff like that. Yeah, Smokescreen is a very powerful ability. It annoys a lot of people, and it makes it good so you can just throw it down when you're up close fighting people, or if you want to push them away and then use it, it's good, because then they won't know where you're going for a little bit. The next ability is Flare Blitz. Charge forward and deal big damage to enemies. However, it will deal damage to you as well. 30 damage, and it deals 12 damage to yourself, has a range of 5 blocks, and a recharge time of 20 seconds. Now, what exactly does it mean, range of 5 blocks? Well, this is similar to what Hydro Pump is, in that it's not a projectile, it's like a beam. But it will fling you forward towards people, and it will deal big damage and a little bit to yourself. So watch my health when I hit this guy. As you can see, it burned him, did damage to me, and it also did big damage to him. And we both kind of like launched forward, like a tackle attack. That's kind of how you can think of Flare Blitz. You can use it as a mobility tool. I don't recommend it, considering it has a 20-second recharge. But if you need to, you can use it as like a last-ditch effort, and you won't take any self-damage as long as you don't hit anything. So as you can see, I took a little bit of fall damage there, but I didn't take any damage when I used it. The final ability for Charizard is Fire Blast. Send a high damage blast of flame in your enemies. 5 damage per flame, burns opponents for 5 seconds, and recharge time of 25 seconds. One common thing you'll see with Charizard is that pretty much all of his attacks burn people, so you can keep opponents burning and slowly dying as well. But Fire Blast, big damage, very fast attack. It shoots like a star of 5, kind of like the games. I like to try to keep these abilities as close to the games as possible. And it has a recharge of 25 seconds, so it is a very long recharge. But for a burst attack that does like up to 25 damage, it's very good, especially if you're playing aggressively. You can pair Flare Blitz and Fire Blast together, and there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. So now that you know how the kit plays, let me go over some tips. As I mentioned earlier, playing aggressive is definitely the best way to go with this class. One of the best combos, if you will, is Fire Blast and the Flare Blitz, but you do have to remember that when an opponent is on fire and they take damage, they're kind of like immune for a second, so you have to wait to use your Fire Blast. Let me show you. Let's get a new zombie in here, because that one might be close to dying for all I know. So if we go into a Flare Blitz, then we can wait a minute, and then Fire Blast. See, we had to wait for his fire tick, or else he wouldn't actually take any damage from the Fire Blast, and then we could just go straight into like Flamethrower, pushing him away, Smokescreen. Smokescreen actually does a little bit of knockback, which is interesting. and then you can remember to use Flamethrower. One important tip with this class is that Flamethrower, it has a very fast recharge of 5 seconds, so you want to be using it a lot, as much as you can. It's important to realize that with these fast ability, or fast recharge abilities, you want to be using them as much as you can, because it's extra damage along with your melee and different things like that. Smokescreen, don't ever forget about it. Blindness is a very useful tool. And then, of course, don't ever forget about Flare Blitz and Fire Blast. Even though they do have really long recharges, when they're ready to be used, you can take down an opponent very quickly. And let's take a look here. This is a brand new full health test dummy. We go Flare Blitz, we wait for the fire, we go Fire Blast, we wait, we do Flamethrower, then we can blind the opponent, we can send them up, because apparently that does knockback, and then look at that. The test dummy is already dead, and they have around 100 health, I think. So that's pretty crazy, just how fast you can just destroy someone and then bring them down. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up for Charizard, one of the most aggressive classes in MineMon. If you did enjoy, don't forget to drop that like, and if you aren't already, please do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.